The Wedi Subliner kit includes a pre-sloped fundo shower base with drain unit, pre-sloped full foam curb, Subliner dry waterproofing membrane, inside and outside corner seals, and Wedi joint sealant. When installing the drain unit onto the pan, apply a bead of Wedi joint sealant to the lip of the drain hub on the shower base. Insert the drain body into the top side of the shower base. Turn the base over. Apply the rubber washer, followed by the fiber washer before hand tightening the locking nut. Make sure to clean off any excess sealant that has oozed out on the base's top side. When using a gypsum board as the substrate, apply a primer to the wall. Cement boards or fiber cement boards are suitable without priming. Make sure you have a clean and load-bearing subfloor. Always dry fit your pan. It's important to have a 5-inch hole around the 2-inch pipe cut 1/8 inch above the subfloor surface so the pan fits perfectly in your opening. With a modified thin-set mortar, apply a bed of thin-set using a 1/2 by 1/2 inch notched trowel. The trowel lines should all be pulled in the same direction towards the front of the base to ensure a good bond. Set the pan in the area and apply pressure to ensure a good bond. Apply the same modified thin-set to the bottom of the curb with the trowel lines in the same direction. Apply a generous bead of Wedi joint sealant to the manufactured channel on the curb. Repeat this step on the manufactured channel on the shower pan and the area on the wall where the curb will touch the wall. It's important to get full coverage of sealant in the curb area. When installing the curb to the pan, make sure the channels join tightly. When installed, the curb top will have a slope going into the shower area. Apply a generous bead of Wedi joint sealant to the top side joint between the curb and the pan. With a Wedi corner putty knife or comparable item, spread the bead smoothly so there's a minimum of 1 inch of coverage on both sides of the joints. Install the rubber gasket between the drain body and the 2-inch pipe. Insert the locking nut, use the locking tool, and tighten the gasket with a flathead screwdriver. The following diagram will show the proper installation. The 2-inch floor pipe has to be cut flush with the subfloor or a maximum of 1/8 inch above the subfloor to ensure a proper installation. If you cut too high, you cannot achieve a proper seal. A pipe that is cut too low will cause the rubber gasket to fold over the pipe and lose any possible seal. With modified thin-set, fill in any small gaps between the shower base and the wall. If the pan has not been cut to fit, you will also need to fill in the pre-manufactured channel. This process will most easily be done with a margin trowel. Apply modified thin-set into the corner and insert the inside corner seal. Flatten the seal tightly to the corner with your Wedi corner putty knife or margin trowel to ensure a complete bond between the fleece and thin-set. After installing the inside corner seal between the curb, pan, and wall, overlap that seal with the outside corner seal. You may need to use scissors or a razor to shorten the inside length of the seal. Do this in all 4 corners and 2 edges of curb. Next, we will install the modified thin-set mortar over the substrate using a 1/8 by 1/8 inch trowel or a max size 1/4 by 1/4 inch trowel, depending on the evenness of your substrate. ensure complete coverage over the substrate prior to installing the Subliner dry membrane. It's easiest to pre-cut your Subliner dry length before you hang it on the wall. When installing, apply pressure to the membrane to ensure a good bond between the membrane and substrate. Using a Wedi wood float will help get the best bond. The Subliner will install onto the base a maximum of 6 inches. Make sure there is adequate thin set to bond the membrane to the base. More may need to be applied. While maintaining good coverage, attempt to keep the joints clean of thin set for the later application of Wedi joint sealant. When overlapping two membrane sheets, apply 2 inches of thin set onto the existing Subliner dry and overlap the membranes. In wrapped corners, cut a slit in the membrane and overlap onto the floor on the adjacent side. Use thin set to bond all pieces of membrane to each other. When installing down to the curb, cut out the overlapping section of Subliner dry. Be careful not to cut the outside corner seal that will protect this area. The thin set in between all membrane connections is only used for good bond, but will not waterproof. The step to complete the waterproof system will be to apply a bead of Wedi joint sealant over all exposed joints of the Subliner dry and corner seals. Anywhere that the Subliner dry or corner seal overlaps onto the full foam curb, fundopan, or other membrane, a bead of Wedi joint sealant should be applied and flattened with a putty knife. This is a crucial step to ensure full system waterproofing, so adequate coverage of sealant is important. The final step is to apply the Wedi strainer before tiling.